Republic. I'm Dr. Surajuddin Ajibola Bashiru. I represent Osun Central Senatorial District. Nigerian Constitution, Section 42, provides for non-discrimination on the ground of gender. And if there's a legislation being proposed that seems to accord in that regard, yes, issues have been raised by two distinguished senators, and I think graciously the sponsor has also expressed willingness to accommodate those concerns. I think the way to go about it is this: whether the bill pass second reading does not mean that all the letters and sections will be passed at the committee stage or when it comes to the committee of the whole. So it is better to err on the side of constitutionality and also to err on the side of giving benefit of doubt that the eventual outcome will address the challenges that have been raised by the three senators that have raised those concerns, and as well as the concern of the sponsor. This is a legislative arm that is not hamstrung by it. I don't think anybody will pass the legislation ultimately without us seeing each sections and provisions. So I want to say, rather than engage this allo chamber in a controversy that people will not even be able to explain what is the basis of it, we should allow the bill to pass second reading. At the committee level, let any work and suggestions that anybody make to improve it to be in line with the Constitution and any other concern be addressed. That is my humble submission. Thank you, Mr. President.
That every distinguished senator here will support this bill. Indeed, I agree with that. There is no senator here, Mr. President, dear colleagues, that does not have a daughter, does not have a mother, and does not have a sister. Therefore, it's a given that every senator is in support of this very, very pivotal bill. Mr. President, if you take the simple analogy of our body holistically, and the statistics says that women constitute 60% of the total population, which means that half of our body, if you take that scenario, more than half of our body is what we are talking about. Who in their right sense would decide not to make use of that part of the body? I don't think it is possible. And so, Mr.
Have you finished?
So, Mr. President, dear colleagues, this bill is a very pivotal bill. It's a bill that is just commonsensical, that we will do what is right to ensure that Nigerian women are given equal opportunity, fairness, and equity to participate and to be part of the nation. Mr. President, even the new normal dictates that women are given fairness and equity in whatever it is that we do. And so I support this bill.
Senator Yusuf Yusuf.
Obi Omo Agege, Delta Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, I'd like to begin by lending my voice in support of the passage of this bill for second reading. Mr. President, this is not the first time this bill is coming before us. I recall vividly, it also came before us in the 8th Senate. And some genuine issues were raised, concerns were raised by some of our colleagues based on cultural and religious sensibilities. And he died at that time, Mr. President. But I'm happy that Senator Olujimi has taken the pains to carry out detailed consultation with some of our leaders in this sector to try address some of the fears and concerns. But from the feelers I'm getting today in these chambers, it does appear that maybe that has not gone far enough. I want to plead, Mr. President, that this is a very, very important bill. To the extent that we still have a residue of these concerns, a residue of these fears. I want to plead, Mr. President, that this bill not be killed here. It should be allowed to go for public hearing, so that whatever concerns that Senator Olujimi and others were not able to address in the course of their consultation could be addressed in the course of that public hearing. Mr. President, this Senate, especially the ninth Senate, we've gone on record as the most friendly to the opposite gender. And Mr. President, if I may just recall, a few days ago, or about a couple of days ago, I think you were given an award for a he for she, by the female gender presented to you, I believe, by the Minister of Women Affairs. Mr. President, the Nigerian women folk, they are looking up to us. Our daughters, our wives, they are looking up to us, that this bill must not die a second time. So I'm appealing, Mr. President, that this bill should not die under your leadership, Mr. President. Today, it should be allowed to go to public hearing, so whatever concerns, genuine as they are, and nobody is playing down on how genuine they are, those concerns be addressed during public hearing, and then they come back before us, so we can have be properly guided, in consideration of whatever report is sent to us. So once again, Mr. President, on record, I'm in support of this bill. Thank you very much.
Well, highly respected colleagues, James Ebiowo, manager, CON Delta South. Mr. President, I would have liked to go through the debate, contributing about the merits and the demerits of the bill. But where we are now is about the process, the procedure. Concerns have been raised about the title of the bill. And correctly, the sponsor of this bill has amended the title to suit the purpose of those who raised objections. Mr. President, my humble view is that lawmaking is a process. It takes a very long process for law to get matured and then for it to become an act of parliament. This is just one step out of the lot. This is second reading. And since the sponsor of the bill has obliged to amend, and that she has submitted, and it's recorded, that instead of saying gender and equal opportunities bill, she has amended it to read gender equity bill. I think when it comes back, by His grace, this particular bill will be subjected to public scrutiny, and heavyweight from both sides will come and talk about it. And Yusuf talked about the Islamic religion and also the Christian religion. I am not an expert either in the Christian religion or in the Islamic religion, but those experts will be there for the public hearing. Any law that is enacted by Parliament must be implemented. If it becomes difficult for the law to be implemented, then whatever we are doing here will be in vain. Or whatever we have done here will amount to nothing. And therefore, it is better to carry everybody along. I think that is the essence of this public hearing. So where we are now, in my humble view, For me, I want to support the submission of Senator Ajibola for the bill not to be killed this time around, at this stage, for the bill to pass through this second reading. And when it has gone through public hearing, and if it comes here, we will look at it. And if the details are not in consonance with the title, then we will delete all those areas, will be removed, so that the bill itself, when it eventually becomes an act of parliament, can be implemented nationwide. For me, already there is a section 42 of the Constitution talking about non-discrimination. But we live in a society where between man and woman, from the very beginning in the history of the world, God created these two genders, man and woman. But there have been problems between man and woman ever since the creation of the world. I am very surprised because we make up the sensitive people in the society, in the world. But looking at the society itself, it's very clear that in spite of the fact that there is section 42, which is the ground norm, talking about non-discrimination, but this discrimination exists. At home, in your workplace, everywhere, discrimination exists. So if this will address it, if it will not offend religious beliefs, so be it. So, Mr. President, I want to urge that we allow this bill to pass through the second reading, unlike what it happened the last time when it was killed at this stage. By so doing, then we will have moved one step forward. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, let me also interject.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Senator Akoniya, representing Akwa Ibom South Senatorial District. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I want to join others to appreciate my sister for sponsoring this bill, Senator Lujimi, on gender and equal opportunity. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I want to say that this bill is very, very important. As we all know that God created us the same, both male and female. The issue of gender, when it has to do with opportunities, women are always pushed to the side. And we all know that when a woman is given a position of authority to serve, there's always peace. And this transcends through the family, through the society, and the government. My colleague that argued on the issue of equal, the use of the word equal to be removed, I don't think that gives a problem. If we want to look into the definition of the word equal, it's a person or thing that is the same as another in status or quality. If God created us equal, there is nothing wrong with the use of that word. And therefore, the objectives of this bill are stated. They are very apt and should be accepted by us. I want to urge my distinguished colleagues to please accept the passage of this bill into second reading.
The DSP.